So I want to speak about how I would transition from being a Salesforce admin to being a junior Salesforce developer. And this is going to be a little bit kind of a lengthy video. It's going to be more like of a freestyle thinking, so feel free to just do it double the speed or something. So first thing, when I say Salesforce administrator, what I actually mean is not Salesforce administrator. What I actually mean is everyone who doesn't code on the daily basis. So Salesforce BA, for example. Who else? We go into this. Even some architects, I would say, solution architects usually. So solution architect. Who else goes in this position? What's that? No, don't need it. What the hell is that? BA, administrator, consultant. This is also another popular thing, consultant. And probably if you're already watching this video, I don't need to say to you why do you want to do that, right? Because you already have your own reason. The only one important thing to know is that the transition itself is kind of like a hard thing. It's not a thing that you can do super easy, and that's something that you're gonna have to work on. And when I say that, people are like, obviously, of course you're gonna need to work on it. But when it actually starts to get hard, when you wake up and you cannot solve this task for already a couple of hours yesterday, and now you have to solve this task again, when you have no idea, when you feel very chaotic, you don't know what to do, in those cases, you need to find some kind of internal motivation why you're doing this. And for me personally, this internal motivation was always money. I'm not going to lie to you. That was my only motivation why I wanted to be a developer. And if for you it's something else, if for you, for example, it's going to Disneyland with the family, it's fine. By the way, which also means money. Okay. But anyway, the point is that the only thing that you need to know before you actually start the transition is that you have to believe that you can do it, and that you actually want to do that, right? So you are now in this bucket of people, right? And the next step that you need to do is, first of all, answer yourself honestly, and this is, I'm gonna draw it as kind of a wall here, like a red wall. Do you actually want it? Do you actually want it? This is a big question to answer. This is not given, right? It is totally fine not to want it. Like, you don't have to be all the time working, all the time moving somewhere. You can be also comfortable just doing what you do, especially if you earn good. But from my experience, humanity in general and people in general, it's never enough for us. Okay, so do you want to do it? Then, do you believe you can do it? And I can answer you immediately to the second one. I think you can. If you are already watching this video, I think you can do that. So because it means that you're interested into those type of things. Okay. So now we can just draw a straight line here, right? Now you just go and become a developer. No. If you go and search, right? So this is Perplexity. This is the type of search that they did. If you ask ChatGPT or something, it's gonna say to you something like this: master object-oriented programming fundamentals. Learn Java, as Apex is based on Java. Study HTML and all that, right? And blah, blah, blah. And if we look at sources, what it takes. For example, let's take this one. 10 months ago. So Evelyn, I love you. You're doing super good content. I like what you write. But I highly recommend taking a course in Java. I disagree a lot with this. Then object-oriented programming, I disagree a lot with this. Trailhead is a great source to start for Apex and LWC. Two problems with it. Trailhead is terrible. LWC, forget about LWC, don't need it. This is not a distraction. Red Woman, they are fine, okay? They are not the awesome best, but they are also fine. Don't spend your last money on them, but if you have the funds for them, I think you can do them, right? I'm not really sure if they're only for women or not, but yeah, I heard. So people who, here's the thing, people who do their courses, they end up having some skills, not necessarily the best skills that you can get for the money. But about this later, about what you should do later. Okay, so those type of things, or even if we go here, you're gonna also get a lot of different things. But all of this is just BS, like literally. So what you need to do to go there? There are many steps. And first of all, it depends, do you already know how to code? I will assume that you don't, right? So I will assume that you have no idea how to code. That means that the first step that you need to do is to learn how to code. I will never get tired to say this, but you need to learn how to code. And this step, it can take months. It depends on how much time you spend on it, but it can take many months. Even people that I'm studying one-on-one, it rarely takes less than 1 month. You're gonna spend at least a couple of months with just mastering the very basics of programming. And when I say the very basics of the programming, I mean loops, variables, classes, all of that. You don't have, I'm not gonna go here into specific what topics do you need to learn. The reason for that is because that doesn't matter that much. Those are details. You're gonna find it out. You just go to any course and then you're gonna find it out what to learn. I'm gonna share with you courses later though. Okay. So learning how to code would be the first step. I'm gonna write it here. Okay. So this is our big goal that we are going for, right? So I'm gonna make it here big. Okay. So now the next wall that we're gonna hit is learning how to code. And trust me, if you don't know how to code, you won't be able to become a developer at all. Right, no, let's do it like this. Learning how to code. This is your main goal for the first at least a couple of months. For some people, and I will be super honest with you, for some people that's going to be the last step where they're going to get stuck. Not everyone can become a developer. Not everyone. Despite what people say on the internet, on LinkedIn, what you read, oh, everyone can become a developer, there's so much resources, blah, blah, blah. No. I know people who will never become a developer. They just can't. They physically can't. Their brain cannot comprehend programming. And this is normal. Not everyone can be a doctor. Not everyone can be a nurse. Not everyone can be a school teacher. I, for example, I certainly can't. I have zero patience for children, for example. I would just die on this on this job. So not everyone can work any profession, and the same as not everyone can learn how to code. And if you don't learn how to code, you will not be able to become a proper Salesforce developer. Now, here's what happens with a lot of people. They go a little bit of different route. They go AI / rapid learning. AI / Trailhead. Something like this. So what you can do, for example, which is a totally wrong way to do it, is that you can go and very quick you can learn something with ChatGPT or learn how to do certain things with ChatGPT. For example, you can learn how to, how to write a trigger with ChatGPT, right? Triggers, for example. And then what happens is that, you learn how to write something with ChatGPT, or you go to the Trailhead, you do a couple of Trailheads, and then you write code for the Trailhead, and then you're like, oh wow, I can actually write this, that's fine, I can repeat, I can take the code that is there, I can modify it to my needs, and if I don't know how to do it, I can go and ask ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity or whatever you're using. And it gives you a wrong impression that actually this is that you're going in the right direction. Well, at the end, you can do something, right? So you can go and actually write some code. The problem is that if you skip this part of learning how to code, you will not be able to do anything outside of what you were already shown. So if you're gonna get exactly the same problems as you had in the Trailhead or whatever course you're gonna do, and you're gonna get exactly the same problem, then you will be able to do this problem. But if the problem is going to be completely outside of what you memorized basically or learned, then you will not be able to attack this problem even with the ChatGPT. And then you're going to be looking at the problem and you're going to be wondering, wow, I can read code, but I cannot write code. Why is it so? Well, that's because you did not learn the basics of the programming. You have to learn how to code. There's no escape, and you have to learn it pretty well. There should not be any problem for you to say what is a variable, what is a method, how to call method from within the class, how to call the method from outside of the class, and whatever, how to do a loop, how to iterate through the collection, how to update those things. These things, they should be easy for you. And only then you can go and try to do something more advanced. So now the question is, Igor, how do I do this? How do I learn how to code? And here I have a good news and a bad news. Good news, you can learn how to code in any programming language. It doesn't matter, because learning how to code is like learning to speak a new language, and coding is the language, not specific programming language. So it's similar. I always give this analogy: if you wanna write a book in Chinese, right? The first thing that you would go is to go learn the alphabet and rules, how the Chinese is written, right? You would learn the grammar and so on, how to put sentences together, and only then you would go and learn how to write a good book. Because writing a good book is a totally different skill in comparison to speaking Chinese, because not everyone who speaks Chinese can write a good book in Chinese. So, the same with coding. With coding, Salesforce development is two skills. This is coding, this is basically speaking Chinese, and then using your coding knowledge to solve real business problems. This is the programming part of it, right? So now we're still speaking about the learning how to code. So at this stage, what you definitely should not do, and probably I'm gonna put here like a big one with things that are wrong. Yeah. So this approach, here we go. Now what's going on here? So this approach is for sure the wrong approach. So with the AI trailhead, we already found out that this is a wrong approach. You should not try to use AI to like help yourself unless your goal is to get things done. Okay. So another wrong approach is, let me copy this. Another wrong approach is trailhead. So let me tell you this. Please don't say it to Salesforce, but Trailhead is a joke for learning how to code. It is not designed for people starting the journey or for people who have no idea about coding. I used Trailhead to switch from being a Java developer to switch into the Salesforce development, and it helped me because this is exactly the purpose of Trailhead. It helps you to basically understand the syntax a little bit and how things done in Apex if you already know how to code. If you don't, it's quite useless. What's going on here? I want to make it whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay, so Trailhead, this is the wrong approach as well. As you see, there are many wrong approaches how you can that you can go. Okay, so Trailhead, the wrong one. What else is wrong? AI, I already said. Trailhead, so learning how to code, not good. Let me think what else. So I think this is okay. Yeah, another. So now we have a couple of here a question. I'm gonna put like this question. Apex or something else? Yeah, because as I showed you before, some people recommend to learn Java. I know why. So first of all, is Java similar to Apex? Yes, it is. This is good. Is Java the easiest language to learn? No, for sure not. Usually, we have 3 languages that you need to learn, like complementary, and not that you need to learn, that people recommend to learn for you. Java, Python, and JavaScript. Right? We're going to discuss those 3 languages in a second. But first of all, should you learn Apex or should you learn something else? I would say it depends on your budget. Budget over $250. If you want to invest in your learning how to code adventure more than 250, I would recommend to go with my platform. I know that this is a little bit of ads, and bear with me, I'm going to explain you why. Why so? Apex. If you have a budget of, let's switch those things. So first of all, what is your budget? I think this is the biggest question that you can ask yourself. What is your budget? How much are you willing to spend to, for example, make your journey quicker? And there's nothing embarrassing about saying zero. I was in the shoes of zero. When I was in Ukraine, I was sitting in Ukraine. I remember this so good. Like approximately 10 years ago, maybe 9 years ago, I was sitting in Ukraine. I was something like 17 at the moment, probably even a bit less. And I had no idea how to code. And I was sitting shirtless on my kitchen because I was living with parents, of course. And I had zero money. I have never worked any job. And I was trying to figure out how can I actually go learn coding. Oof, that was a hard time. Because I had to beg my parents to pay for the website that is called Java Rush in Ukraine. I think on English speaking it's something like Code Gym, and I had to beg my parents for Code Gym for $30 a month subscription. This is crazy, I know, but I had that they gave me basically subscription for I think 2 months or something, and yeah, it was already the scratch for my budget. It's already too much. So the point is, there's nothing bad in having low budget. It's fine. Some people are from India, some people are from Ukraine, some people are from US. If you're from US, 250 probably for you is like going to restaurant 3 times something. So and for some people in other countries, it can be a month worth of salary. So what is your budget? This is the first question. How much are you willing to invest? All right, so we have this. If it's more than that, then I would recommend you go for Apex. And I'm going to show you in a second what exactly to do with Apex. But let's say you don't want to spend money. All right? Then I would not recommend to go with Apex. I can say here, yes. I would say that you need to go with another programming language. And the reason for that is because in Apex, we don't have enough free materials to learn coding. We have, I would say, like maybe a couple of different websites and courses that teach how to code for free, but it is so limited that it's not enough. You need, when you learn how to code, you need, so let's go to my platform, learnapex.com, right? So if we go here, how many tasks we have? We have 600, I think from those 600, probably 580 are published on the platform, something in this range. So over 500 tasks. And even that is not necessarily enough. We still want more. We still want more. So we're still in developing on this platform. It's not even a year since we developed this, right? So basically, when you learn how to code, you need to solve 1,000 tasks. This is your goal. Your goal should be solve 1,000 tasks. By tasks, they can be simple tasks or they can be a little bit more complex tasks, right? So this is what you need to aim for, and therefore Apex is not enough. Even if you go to any free website, like whatever, there is some website, I forgot, Apex Sandbox something, Apex Sandbox IO, right? It's not enough. It's not enough. Those here, 20 tasks, whatever, they're not gonna make you a developer. There's no way. The same with the Trailhead. The same with any other free thing that we have in the Salesforce. So if you have zero budget, don't go for Apex. Just don't. Okay, then the question is, what should you do? It's hard for me to answer because I don't know personally your case, right? This is why I usually do this type of things on the consultation instead of as a YouTube video. But I'm just gonna give you a couple of options that you can go for. What programming language to learn? Okay, so, and we have usually 3 types of people here. Okay, the first, camp is you want to reuse your skills as much as you can. So you have a limited amount of time, and you're like, okay, I want to learn something that I will be able to apply as much as I can on Salesforce. I don't want to relearn that much. Another camp. Wait, let's do it like this. So if you're in this camp, if you're in the camp of come on. No. If you're in the camp of you want to learn, you want to reuse your skills as much as possible, the answer is simple: Java. It's very simple. You literally need to go and learn Java. Java is the nearest language to Apex that you can imagine, and this is the best thing, this is the nearest thing you can learn to Apex, and you're gonna be able to reuse a lot of your knowledge. It's not gonna be one-to-one, and there is a downside of Java. The downside of Java is that let me actually write here the downsides. The downside. So the downside is that it is different. It is still different. It is quite different. Like, it is not insanely different, but it is different. Okay, so this is one downside. Another problem is that it is hard to apply. So to create anything useful with Java, you would need to invest a lot of time into it. So it's really hard. Like, I'm just thinking about projects that you can do for the real world with Java. It's gonna be awful. So not only are you gonna need to learn not the easiest language on earth, you also gotta have quite a bit of learning curve until you can actually implement something that you can show off on your resume, for example, or you can apply in Salesforce. So this is the problem with this. Of course, on the good side of Java is that the plus here, very similar to Apex. And by very similar, I mean syntax is very similar to Apex. But not everything, not so much the concepts, because the biggest difference is what we have on the Salesforce is that Apex is a not general purpose language. This platform language. Java is a general purpose language. It means that Java can be applied for many different cases, for basically general whatever, all the cases. Versus Apex can be only applied on Salesforce, right? So Apex is still going to be quite different. But this is still on the plus side of Java, because I think this is the nearest language that you can imagine. Another plus is that it's a lot of tutorials. like really a lot. I think as much of good material, I don't think there are any language that comes even closer to Java. So Java is really good at this for this point. All right, this is if you wanna reuse your skills. Okay, and I'm gonna put it here like this. I want to reuse my skills. Okay, so we have them. All right, another camp that we have would be JavaScript. Not to confuse with Java, doesn't have anything to do with Java, to be honest. How can I make it another color? Let's make it whatever. Let's make it this JavaScript. So immediately a downside of JavaScript is that it is not strongly typed. It is not strongly typed. Okay, so here's what I mean that advantages of strongly typed. Why should you start with a strongly typed language in opposite to something like JavaScript? First of all, strongly typed, they show you way more errors on the compilation time. It means when you're gonna save your code, they already gonna show you the errors that you're gonna encounter. Versus with a untyped or not strongly typed languages, you're gonna have a problem that you're gonna develop something and then you're gonna be wondering why it doesn't work, and you're gonna get 0 errors, and you'll be like, well, why is that? And this is exactly the reason why the world is kind of slowly moving from JavaScript to TypeScript, which TypeScript is a typed language, typed version of a JavaScript. So for example, we developed our Learn Apex platform on the TypeScript. So most people recognize this problem with the JavaScript and they move further. But yeah, so the JavaScript, this is if you're happy to trade this part off, then it's fine. JavaScript is kind of a weird language though in comparison to all the others. Okay. So what else? Yes. So this is I think this is also code readability. I think if you learn first strongly, if you don't learn, if you learn untyped language, then the readability is less. Okay. Difficult understanding data types. This is a big one because one of the features of programming language are data types, and you have to understand data types in order to be able to write a good Apex code. You don't have to understand data types that much for LWC, for example, or Aura components or Visualforce, but you don't need to understand it for Apex. And you can understand them with a not strongly typed languages like JavaScript, but it's going to be significantly way harder. So when you're going to be learning JavaScript, you're going to be leaving out this data type thing almost completely. And probably then when you're going to be learning Apex, you're going to have to learn like a big chunk of Apex again to understand how it works. So this is kind of a downside of it. Okay. All right, let's go back. So this is a big downside. This is a big downside. Another downside is that it is not used that much in Salesforce. Here's what I mean. If you are a normal developer, as I was for the last 5 years, probably you would spend most time not writing JavaScript or not writing a very deep, heavy JavaScript. Probably you would spend majority of your time actually writing Apex or very light JavaScript. And this is the whole Salesforce development. You write Apex, you write light JavaScript. Usually don't go very deep into the JavaScript. So if you learn JavaScript, you're going to be awesome with JavaScript part, but you don't need that much of a JavaScript, okay? But of course, there's also good parts of it. And the good part is that it is easy to learn. Easy to learn, okay? And another good part is that easy to apply. If you learn JavaScript, or maybe even TypeScript, actually, if you want, you can go for TypeScript. They're basically very similar. So you don't need, if you know how to write JavaScript, you don't need that much time to learn TypeScript. The benefit of them is that you can build awesome stuff very quick. So you can really, within a couple of weeks, you can already be programming some websites. And that's cool because it feels good to be able to create some product, for example, right? Like, for example, I am super excited. I don't write a super good JavaScript, but I am super excited that I can hack together a website. And this is awesome. Like, it feels really cool. All right? So this is a good downside because, you know, when you learn how to code, it's also important to have the fun factor. If you're always struggling, it's not good. And believe me, with Java, you're going to be struggling a lot and you're not going to have as much fun as with JavaScript because JavaScript is way easier to learn and you can do way more things. So if we speak about the learning curve, I would say that the JavaScript learning curve is something like this. Okay, so this is JavaScript learning curve. With Java learning curve, it's more like this. So it kind of stays the same approximately all the time. It's not like heavy jump, but you see that here in the beginning it's way less steep, right? Here until this moment, it's way less steep than usually. Okay, so this is JavaScript. When do you need to... Hey, what's going on here? All right. So when do you need to learn JavaScript? I would argue that you want to learn JavaScript when you like some kind of visual stuff. When you really enjoy the type of graphics that I'm drawing here, and you want to say, okay, I want to develop some websites, something like this, and I want to really have a lot of fun during learning, and I don't really care, I don't really care how much I'm gonna be able to reuse of my skills. I just want to be able to code, and I want to be able to code some cool stuff. Then you should learn JavaScript, okay? But important, you won't be able to easily transfer your skills from the JavaScript to Apex. You will be able to understand the concepts, but not easily transfer all the skills. Okay. So the last piece that people usually recommend is... first, let me make it another color. Let me make it this. Python. And this is my favorite. I would, like, if I were to start, I would go for Python. The reason for that is because okay, so first let's speak about the downsides. The downsides of Python is it's not similar to Apex. I cannot think about another downside, to be honest. This is the only downside that you can think about. The good part of Python is that it's easy to learn, it's easy to apply, it is strongly typed, and you can do cool stuff. You can do cool stuff very quick with Python. So it has all the benefits of JavaScript, and also on top of that, it kind of teaches you the right concepts. Now, will you be able, when you would be writing Python, will you be able to immediately write Apex? No. Will you be able to write JavaScript for LWC? Still no. right? So this is the least reusable language out of those three for the Salesforce. But the amount of cool stuff that you can do with this, and the learning materials, and the tutorials, and how easy it is to learn, and how easy it is to write, and how robust is the language. This is just an awesome language. You can apply it in many, many different fields, and you will be able to learn all the concepts that you need later. So if we speak about the learning curve for Python, I would say it's pretty much similar to this one, but with the later cutoff. Right? So it is less steep than JavaScript in my opinion. So in my opinion, the beginning of JavaScript and Python are approximately the same. And in Python, you stay longer with the easier parts. And you can go, of course, you can go in the weeds in any language. And you can go and do very hard stuff in all the languages. So this is my consideration. If I were to learn programming from scratch right now, I would start with Python for sure. Okay. So this is my choice. But I outlined for you the whole consideration there. So if you see something here that is a complete, that is more important for you, for example, being able to reuse your skills quickly on the job, then go for other programming languages, not for Python. And another thing with Python, you can also do some kind of cool stuff like data, machine learning, and all that. You can see that this is with zero budget. You can learn all of this. Okay. Now, where to learn? Now let's speak about those cases where to learn each of them, right? Okay. Now, where to learn Java? I am here a little bit biased. I am quite sure that the best site to learn Java is CodeGym. They're paid though. They are paid. I think that you can also write them and they can also make a discount to you. I don't remember what is exactly the price for them, but I think it's something around $30 a month. So it can be a little bit more expensive for you. Pricing? Do they show pricing? Yeah, $29 per month. So it can be a little bit more expensive also for you. I totally understand this. In this case, if it's too expensive for you, then I have another one. Okay, so there are a couple of things about Java. So this one, I think this is a good one. I think it's also paid, or it's paid partly, but I think you can do quite a lot of things there for free. So this is a good one. It's called Programmers. And then there's another one, this Learn Java. This is also good, but you can, come on, close it. 1 second. All right, but you can find a lot of material on Java. It's not that learning Java for free, it's a big problem. Okay, another thing that, where do we have it? Okay, this one, Java, you can find a lot of stuff. I just showed you a couple of them. They're good. So here's you can find Java stuff. Right, Programmers is the one that I actually like, and if you cannot afford this one, CodeGym is by far the best one. So if you can afford CodeGym, you don't have to go anywhere else. Okay, this is about Java. So Java goes easy, CodeGym, quite easy. Can you 1 second? Okay, CodeGym here. Easy choice. For JavaScript, TypeScript, the best one is FreeCodeCamp. And the same goes for Python. They are by far the best. Here, for Python, I like the legacy Python for everybody. I don't know why they removed it and made it like somewhere here. I like the legacy one. And here for FreeCodeCamp, you can go with a responsive web design. It's a good one. So it's not only, wait, this JavaScript. Where's the JavaScript? Here's the JavaScript. okay, so you need to go for this for the basic JavaScript. I don't know why they're moving those things. Okay, so this is my recommendations for the free budget. Now, of course, if you have budget, you waited all this time, and I can tell you that you can go to the Learn Apex, and you can click on the Let's Start. You can fill out this questionnaire, and if you are qualifying, you're gonna get there a certain discount. Okay, and that's how you should be starting. So all of that is if you have zero budget. This is if you have some budget. Apex. Now, okay, you learned Apex. Why Apex? Why not LWC? LWC is a terrible choice to start with. Don't start with LWC. LWC is only a very small part of the Salesforce development, and it is not the first thing that you should start, because it's almost impossible to write LWC without writing a good Apex. So Apex is usually the engine behind LWC. So you cannot start with LWC. Even more, there's so few material on LWC, even less than on Apex, because Apex has been around for 20 years probably. LWC has been around for what, 10 years, 7 years, I don't know, but not that much. Okay, so LWC, don't start with LWC. You need to start with Apex. And when you know how to code in Apex, now what does it mean that you know how to code in Apex? It means that you need to go, again, through a couple of stages. So first, basics. Quite self-explanatory, right? Basics, how to write loop, how to write SQL queries, and all that. Okay. After the basics, you need to go through asynchronous Apex. Before asynchronous, you need to go through triggers. Okay. What's going on here? It's very strange. Okay, after triggers, you need to learn async Apex. Okay, so you learn asynchronous Apex. What I mean by that? That's scheduled Apex. Futures, don't learn futures. Queuables, don't learn queuables. Don't learn futures, learn queuables instead. So futures, queuables, scheduled. We can also put batch here. It's not so much here, but batch, we can also put it here. And I think that's pretty much it. Okay, so you learn this. With the triggers, what you need to learn within the triggers, you need to learn trigger framework. And before you can learn trigger frameworks, you need to learn trigger handlers. And if you want to go even deeper, no, you don't need it actually. As a junior, you don't need it. I think it's good. In the basics, what you need to learn data structures. You need to learn control structures. For loops, if statements, all that, control structures. With data structures, what I mean are lists, sets, maps, and all that. And then you need to learn something like SQL plus Apex, and something similar to this, like different ways how you can manipulate data. Basically, that's very approximate. I have a more detailed map, so you don't need to memorize all of it or make screenshots. That's just a general outline. So after you know asynchronous Apex, the next part would be integrations. Okay, so let's continue. No quick chat. It was cancelled. All right, so the next thing, integrations. Now, that already, it kind of depends on how advanced you have to be to be a junior, because some people, what they basically do as a admins is that they learn how to code a little bit, and they already starting from here somewhere, they already find a job. It's possible. And actually what I realized that we are doing here is that we are already going into the realm of not coding but programming. And the programming part starts here after the basics. So after you learned how to code, right? Because we are still in this gate here, learning how to code. After you learned how to code, the next part is learning how to program. Learning how to program. This is the next trouble part. When I say learn how to program, what I mean by that is that you need to learn how to apply your coding skills on Salesforce concepts. And that's already about trigger handlers and all of that. Right? So I'm gonna just put it here, and it's gonna go here. One of the biggest mistakes you can do is trying to skip this whole part here. I know it looks huge, right? Oh, wow, you have so many considerations. Oh, wow, you have to think about the budget, how much you're going to invest, blah, 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 blah. Yes, it is hard, but you need to, there's no way you can skip this part. If you, and this is what a lot of people try to do. This is another mistake. I can edit here. Triggers in the first 2 months. This is mistake. Unless you have a mentor, of course. Like if I sit down with you every week and we program together, yeah, okay. But if you're doing it yourself, probably in the first 2 months, you're not ready to go and discuss triggers. You need to learn how to code. And again, this is, I assume that you have no idea how to code, right? So this is another problem. When you are already here somewhere on this stage and you go and try to jump way too quick to something that you can apply. And I understand it. You wanna be able to apply what you learn quick, right? But trust me, you're gonna be able to apply what you learn way quicker if you slow down. If you really take your time with learning the basics. If you need to really understand them. I cannot emphasize this good enough that you have to understand the basics. And this is because this is what all people do. Like, this is crazy. I am always posting about this on LinkedIn. I'm always posting about this everywhere in my emails, on YouTube, right? And people still doing this. And then they wonder. Like, I literally had a couple of weeks ago, I had a, I don't remember how many, like a couple of people coming from me after doing some kind of boot camp. And this boot camp, they rushed into the triggers and all of that within the first weeks of the bootcamp. And it's like, no, you cannot do that. You have to properly understand what is a loop and what is a map. Because if you don't know what is map, you cannot, you cannot write triggers. It's just virtually, literally impossible to write triggers without understanding maps. So you do need to understand maps are data structures, by the way. So you need to understand data structures. And here we go. You cannot understand map if you don't understand what is a list and what is a set. And you cannot fully understand lists and sets unless you understand how to iterate through them and how to get them from Apex. So this is Sokol and Apex, right? So all of these topics, they are interconnected between each other and you cannot leave them out. So you really have to learn. And then once you know the basics, that was the hardest part. Congrats. The hardest part is done on this point. Now you need to learn how to program. Now you need to take your coding skills and learn how to apply on the business problems. And for that, Apex has some stuff that is very unique for Apex. Like, for example, trigger handlers. It is very unique for Apex. It does not exist in other programming languages. So you have to learn this type of things. And this is already, you're starting to pick up a real tool set of real developers. And you start already doing stuff that other developers do usually on the Salesforce job. And this is where you can already start integrating Trailhead, where you can already go to the Trailheads and see, okay, here's how I write a trigger and so on. Especially for example, integrations, I think Trailheads on integrations are quite good, actually. So, okay, so in the integrations, what do you need for integrations? You need to learn, of course, the HTTP I don't want to call it theory, but you need to know what are the protocols, what is actually HTTP, like what the hell is HTTP and so on. So you need to learn a little bit of theory behind it. What is the request? What is the response? It's very basic. You can do it in one evening. Then you need to learn how to write integration from Salesforce to another server. I usually take as an example PayPal, something. So you need to learn how to make a call out to PayPal and how to receive something back and work with this. And then this is a part that people usually forget: PayPal to Salesforce. You also need to learn how you can receive an integration, how you can be on the receiving end of the integration, how can you make your Salesforce org to be able to accept some other things. And that usually includes learning about webhook or polling pattern. Webhook, this is when something happens on the third-party server, and this triggers an event on the webhook, and it sends an event to us, to Salesforce. Like for example, if you're a server, if you're selling courses, right, and someone purchased the course, and in Salesforce you want to be able to react to this thing by whatever, I don't know, closing an opportunity or something. So whenever the purchase is going to happen, it's going to happen on the PayPal, right? So when the person pays with the PayPal, it has nothing to do with the Salesforce. So the PayPal itself, it has webhooks, and it's going to trigger the webhook functionality, and it's going to send that, okay, the payment has happened there on the PayPal, and now you, as a Salesforce, you need to react to this thing. And for that, you need to understand the web services, how they work. Nothing too crazy. Literally, when I do one-on-one mentoring with people, we spend on it maybe 2 weeks and we move on. It's not hard. It sounds hard. It's not hard. And this is what gives you, like, in my opinion, this is what gives you a lot of different fun ideas that you can do with Apex. Yeah. So this is what you need to learn with the Apex part. This is Apex. Or I would rather say it's a backend. This is backend part. Because Salesforce development is not only about backend, it's also about the front end. Front end. You can see how we keep moving this, our goal, we keep moving it further away. You thought I'm just gonna be drawing here just one arrow? No, there's a lot of steps that you need to do to become a Salesforce developer, and it's totally fine. You can do that. It's not a big deal. You can do that. I'm just trying to. The reason why we have so much here stuff is because I want to show you. How it is done and what are all the steps that you have to do. Right? Okay. So once this is, I would say that covers pretty much for the backend. Let me think if I left something out. So we have triggers, we have async Apex. Some people write their platform events. I don't think you need to learn about platform events too much. And I don't want like there are some topics there that I don't include that are like kind of part of it. Like for example, custom metadata types. All that are details. I don't want to go that much into the details. Otherwise, we would be sitting here for 5 hours. No, I think that's actually pretty good. All right. So now we have the backend. Now you need to go and learn the front end. Not other way around. Not starting with the front end and then moving to the back end. Like that just drives me crazy. Why people are still doing that? I have no idea why people are doing that. All right. So the first thing that you need to learn before you can go to the front end, you need to learn HTML and CSS. And good news, because a lot of people already gonna have some skills here. This is good. That's good. If you're an admin, probably you have worked a little bit with email templates, something, so you know how to style template, how to write a template. So HTML, CSS, they are not programming languages. They're easy. They are markup languages. They're basically tell browser what to display. It's easy. Okay, what is not so easy? What is not so easy? Is JavaScript. JavaScript. Okay, you have to learn JavaScript in order to be able to write anything of the front end. And this is where we come back here to the JavaScript/TypeScript. Well, you can use everything that I said here, FreeCodeCamp, all of that you can use to learn here the JavaScript. You have to learn JavaScript. You cannot avoid it. And the problem with JavaScript that it has some concepts that if you started with Apex or some other programming language like Python, for example, or Java, it has some concepts that are not included in those languages. Like, for example, promises or functional programming. This is what I see makes the most difficult for people on the JavaScript are promises, then functional programming, and I would also say that usually when people start with JavaScript, they also find syntax quite interesting. Syntax. Like, the problem with syntax and how you write JavaScript is that you write JavaScript a little bit different, with a different paradigm, with the different ideas in mind than Apex. And that's why a lot of people actually struggle with this. So you do need to learn this on a quite good level. And yeah, this is, of course, it's not, you need to learn way more, but those are usually the topics that people struggle with. Okay, so you learned now, you know HTML, you know CSS. Now you need to learn JavaScript. Wait, you already learned JavaScript at this point. Okay, so you learned JavaScript at this point. Now what next? All right, so the next, we have a couple of things. On the backend, it's easy because on the backend, we only have one programming language. We have Apex. And we can also say we have Sokol. And Sosol, ignore Sosol, no one actually uses that much. Sokol, easy to learn, everyone knows it. You can learn it in a weekend, nothing too crazy. So basically there's one important thing here, Apex. Now on the front end, we are, Salesforce did quite a bit of work, and Salesforce did 3 front-end frameworks. Visualforce, Aura, and LWC. Wow. Why 3? The reason why we have 3 is because the whole idea of the front-end development has shifted around 2011, 2013. It went from passive programming to reactive programming. And Visualforce, that was the first framework. And this framework, it was designed for page-based development. When you basically have a page and everything happens on the page and the components between each other, they're not really reactive, and you develop with them. And it was good in like 90s, but you remember this? So I don't remember because I'm not that old, but maybe someone of you remembers the websites in 2005 or something. So they were quite terrible, at least from what I saw on the internet. This is what you can develop with Visualforce. Right now, Visualforce is used for native PDF generation and legacy. Of course, so chances are, if you're as a Salesforce developer, if you're only writing new functionality, you will never use Visualforce. That's just, you will never use it. Only if you have some stuff that was already written with this, then you will use it. And for PDF, for PDF generation, yeah, you can actually use it quite successfully with the PDF generation. You can use also LWC to a certain extent for PDF generation, but the native embedded functionality for Salesforce is with Visualforce. Then Aura. Okay, so Aura, what happened next? After they developed Visualforce, the whole web and front-end development has shifted into the reactive programming. This is why we have such a framework, such a JavaScript framework. It's called React, because it's reactive programming. Salesforce was like, oh, wait a second, we also want to have modern reactive programming, and they started developing Aura. Now, with Aura, something went wrong, and they decided not to make it as their main framework, because probably they were already a little bit too late. Once they released it, they realized they made a few architectural mistakes, and they want to correct them. And they developed LWC. So LWC actually came out, I think, 1 year after Aura, so it was not a huge gap between them. Like with the gap with the Visualforce and Aura, I think it should be at least 10 years or 20 years. With Aura, that was way way better. No, definitely not 20 years. So yeah, with Aura it was just 1 year. So basically, and they're very similar. LWC and Aura, they're very similar. And in fact, in a lot of stuff that you use LWC for, you still have Aura annotations. For example, an annotation that is the Aura enabled. If you saw it in the code, Aura enabled, well, that's actually not only for Aura, it's also for LWC. Because yeah, those two frameworks are very, very, very similar. Okay. So here we have Aura. And Aura is used for legacy, or there are some edge cases. Edge cases where you have to use Aura. I don't remember out of my head those edge cases, and we don't need to go into them. But again, chances are, as a Salesforce developer, you will not write any Aura code. This is LWC. This is preferred framework. Preferred. Correct my grammar. Preferred framework. All right. So once you know HTML and CSS, you should ignore Visualforce and Aura. Now this is a little bit bad because PD1 certification, it has a lot of questions about Visualforce. This is why I kind of don't like the PD1 certification, because it has so many useless questions. But basically what you need to do is to ignore most of these things, and you need to focus on LWC. Okay, this is your next step here. I'm gonna put it here. Okay, so you learn LWC. What do you learn in LWC? Everything you can. LWC is a relative hard framework to master, especially as a beginner. You want to learn as much as you can, but in most cases, you don't need to be really good with LWC in order to start your job. Yes, you don't have to be LWC master to start your job. You have to be good with backend. Like, you really have to understand Apex and be able to write most of the stuff there. But you don't have to be that good with LWC. So don't worry about LWC that much. Try to learn as much as you can, but don't stress out about this, right? I think if you can do the super badges on Trailhead, I think you're good to go. Yeah, I think that's approximately the level that you should aim for. The most important that you need to start doing is that you need to start combining those two things together. About this a little bit later. So you learn this. You learn backend, you learn frontend, and here I'm gonna put here that for frontend we learn LWC. And of course, you also learn how to combine those two things, right? So you learn how to call Apex from LWC and so on. After you learn LWC, you need to learn a little bit of Aura. You don't have to learn it, but you need to spend at least 1 weekend and write a couple of components with Aura. Maybe take some of your LWC components and rewrite it with Aura so that you can understand how it all goes. Because you do need to understand, as a Salesforce developer, you need to have at least an idea how to write Aura component. And again, don't go crazy on it. Just learn a little bit, very basics of that, and that's going to be fine. After that, you want to learn Visualforce. Again, don't stress out too much about this. Probably what you want to learn about this is PDF generation, actually. So you want to learn how you can generate PDF with Visualforce. Maybe you also want to learn a little bit how to write components, and the only reason why you want to do that is because later you want to pass PD1. Okay, so write components, or maybe you're using something on the job, something like CPQ. They use Visualforce, so maybe you can apply it on your job. With Aura, you wanna rewrite your LWC components. This is, I think, the best way to learn Aura, is that you take what you develop here on the LWC and then you rewrite it. Now the question is, on LWC, how do you know what to what to do on LWC? if you don't know what to do on the LDBCs, you're doing something wrong. Because if you don't have any projects in mind, why? Why? Didn't you ever had on your job working as all the way here as a Salesforce admin, Salesforce BA, or architect or consultant, something that you could write with LDBC, or some kind of like very light version of what you would want to write? I think you should have something. So what I think that all your projects on LWC, they should come from real life. Of course, you can go and try to find a lot of LWC like practice projects. I don't think you should be doing them because it's so useless. You can do them as much as you want, but your brain won't understand the whole how to write all of that unless you try to make the connection between the real world and how you actually do it on LWC. So yeah, you wanna find real projects, all right? And then you wanna try to rewrite it with Aura, maybe with Visualforce. Okay, so this is the front end part. You see that the front end part is kind of complex, and that's why I don't think that you need to be super good at the front end when you start your junior job. Right? So you need to be decent. What's going on here? All right. So let's say you know quite a good backend. You know quite a bit of the front end. Now the question is, what's next? Right? The next is PD1. That's for sure. The next is PD1. Because you need to signal to the world that you have the skills. It a little bit depends on how much in a hurry you are to find a job. If you're in a hurry to find a job, then PD1. If not, then I have another good example for you. So let's actually make here a differentiation. Let's go here and create. Come on. What's going on here? Why is it so small? Are you in a hurry to find a job? Are you in a hurry to find a job? Something like this. And of course, it's totally normal to be in a hurry. Like if you see that you want to improve your finances quick, then you sure should go for PD1. For PD1. Yes, then go for PD1. But what if you're not? And this is where most of the people that I speak with, they land into this category. Usually you're not that much into hurry. Like, yeah, you have quite a decent job, right? Because you're working as a Salesforce admin, and you probably by this time you already know how to code properly, right? So then what you should try to do is you should try to take projects on the job. Or take tasks on the job. If you have some. That's of course, if you have some. Because what if you don't? Well, that's another thing, right? To find the job, or I would say here, to find a new job. Right? Because probably you're already working. I assuming that you're already working here. Tasks on the job. If you don't have any tasks on the job, you still can do projects. And this doesn't matter. I think they're approximately equal. Of course, it's the best if you can just take the tasks on the job. But it's also fine if you just gonna come up with your own task, with your own projects. No, you're not in a hurry. Okay, so if you're not in the hurry, then you should be doing projects. All right, so let's discuss PD1. I'm not gonna show you what you need to do for PD1 because the best thing that you can do for PD1 is just to go focus on force. That's it. That's literally how you do it. You just go to focus on force and you study as much as you can from there. The way I do it is usually I use Anki cards. Anki to memorize concepts. So Anki cards, this is, I'm not sure, yeah, Anki cards. Here we go. So let me show you Anki cards. This is just my style of learning. So you don't have to do the same style of learning. So here you have different decks, and you can click on the deck and you can study now. And it's gonna ask you, what is the preferred tool by Salesforce to use for deployment, release management, and application lifecycle? And you're thinking like, damn it, what is this? Let's say I say VS Code. And you're like, oh, okay, so it's not VS Code. Usually it's a DevOps Center. And you're like, wow. Okay, so it was probably zero guess. So the answer is wrong. So I'm going to click on again. And you see this goes into this deck of 5 that should be repeated, right? So if you say easy, it's going to go to the auto repetition. So basically Anki, it's a way, it's a program that does the space repetition for you automatically. So you don't have to think about, oh, when should I repeat what? Anki is gonna the algorithm of Anki just gonna say to you, okay, now today you learn those things and then you repeat other cards. I'm using it to memorize concepts like what I showed you, for example, what is the preferred way for Salesforce to deploy DevOps Center. Wow. Yeah, so this is the way I do it. Focus on force is also really, really good to check. My personal rule on focus on force, if you score 80% plus, you're good to go. If you score 80% plus, if you score less, probably you still need some practice. And the way you practice on focus on force is that you go in, you take those quizzes that show you immediately the result after you clicked on the result, and then you see what did you get wrong, and even if you did it right, you search for the concepts that you didn't know, and you go to the concepts and you go to the documentation of those concepts, and you try to, out of this whole documentation, you try to get to get the useful information. You put it in the Anki that you think you want to memorize. This is the way I learn. You can do it in a different way. Some people learn with the Trailhead. I didn't like Trailhead for passing my PD1. I thought it's kind of useless. Okay, we have this. Now projects. What do you do with projects? If you don't want to go for PD1, which is fine, right? So if you're not in the pressure of getting a new job, I would rather advise you to go for the projects instead of PD1. Now, projects, not super badges, okay? So don't do super badges as projects. They are not useful. What you want to do is something that you care about. Something you care about. So it can be even something like a small startup. Oh, that sounds crazy, but that's the reality. You want to do something that actually you're interested into. You cannot just go and do stuff that everyone does. That's not gonna work. Something that you care about, okay? And something that you care about, it should be useful. Should be useful. So if you go and do a to-do list, it's not useful. Don't do that. Okay? So it should be useful. It should has business value. So the reason why I have the project that you do, they should hit multiple milestones, is because you're gonna be showing this project to multiple people, probably 3 types of people: recruiters, managers, and developers. Probably gonna be showing your project for those 3 type of people. Come on. Right? So for recruiters, it should be visual. Ideally, okay? So it should be visual for recruiters so that it looks appealing. For managers, it should have a business value. And for, okay, actually, multiple things. Let me write like this. Okay. Something that you care about, that's for everyone, okay? That's for you mainly, because you don't want to do something that you don't care about. Okay, so for recruiters, that's usually visual. Business value for managers, useful for recruiters and managers, and for you as well. And then for developers, what we want to have is that it's technically impressive. So it's not enough to build something that you care about that looks good. You need also to show your technical deep knowledge. It doesn't have to be super insane something. No one expects you as a junior to be able to develop an insane thing. But what you need to do is that you need to show that you have more depth to your developer skills than most people. That you have something, that you develop something that is like, wow, not bad. Okay, cool. Something like this reactions you want to expect from developers. Because developers are going to be actually at the end those who are going to write a report if you should get hired as a developer. And I describe here a situation where you're actually going through the interviews for the developer job, right? So I described only the path where you're going from working as an admin in one company and then working as a developer in another company. Okay, so you do need to write something that's going to be technically at least somehow impressive, right? You cannot just write a very simple thing. It has to be something, and it needs to have a business value. So ideally, what works into all of these things, it should be some kind of mini startup that solves an actual real business problem. Or for example, you can go to the App Exchange and you can try to replicate one of the apps that you've been using all the time, and you try to replicate it and make it for free. One of the options, right? In the end, you can say that, okay, I wanted to do a startup, but it failed. If something goes wrong, okay. For me personally, and by the way, it doesn't have to be one project; it can be multiple projects. So you can with one project you can show those 3 things. With another project, you can show technically impressive. Ideally, when it's in one project. For me, it was that I developed a self-checking, like Java checking website similar to learnapex.com, and that was kind of hard to do technically, especially for a beginner. So it was kind of an impressive thing for me to show when I was applying for the jobs. But it's been quite a long time ago when I was applying for my first job. All right, so this is if you want to do projects, and this is what I recommend you after you learn backend and frontend. Don't do PD1 immediately. Go and do some projects. And the important part is that that I probably should write here also that this project should be front end plus backend. This is important. So you want to have the full cycle. You don't want to just stick to backend that you know and then completely leave out front end. Because why are we doing this? Because we want to signal to the potential employers, or maybe to the employer that you currently have, that you have the skills. If you develop this is how employers should think when they see your project. If you develop this, you will be able to do the stuff that we do on that we need you to do on the job. This is, for example, how I hired Alexander, the developer behind the learnapex.com. He just showed me what he did on his courses, and I was like, well, if you did that, you can do what we want to do. Let's do that together. And he was like, yeah, let's do that. So this is what you want to achieve. You want to show that you can actually do stuff. And this is way more important than having PD1, because if you can show that you can do stuff, you're going to get hired. Okay? But then, this is a part of skills. Everything that we discussed so far, this whole diagram, this is about skills. But sometimes skills is not enough. What you want to have marketing. Okay? So, this is skills. All of it here is just skills. But to get the job now in today's today, you need to also be able to advertise a little bit. So you need to have a little bit of marketing part. Which marketing, that's a little bit different. So let's go here. Let's put this one here. So at this point, if you develop your own projects, like something that falls into this description, I would say you already have enough skills to actually do the job. If you learned all of that, okay, if you learned all of that, and you have experience as a Salesforce admin, and you did a couple of projects like this, you have what it takes to be a developer, to work as a developer full-time. Yes, you might be right now at the level of a junior developer, but you will be able to perform an actual tasks that are going to be given to you. Now, that's not enough. Yeah, the world right now is like this, that to get a job, you need also to be able to somehow advertise yourself. So for that, we need to pass a PD1 certification. But this is important, that this is part of marketing. This is not part of the actual skills. I don't know. What should we do here? Let's do like this, right? So this is marketing. You need to do the PD1. Let's put it here. Okay, it's gonna be black. I already told you how to do PD1. Now, PD1 is not the only one marketing tactic that you should apply. Another marketing that you should apply is posting on LinkedIn. That would be a different type of video, probably, of what to do. But in a nutshell, the way this LinkedIn thing works is that, okay, let me go here. I'm gonna go to my profile. So this is how I see it. But when the recruiters search for someone, they have a special search box there, and in the search box, they put the search, for example, Salesforce Developer Munich, in my case, in Germany, right? And then they put whatever they want to see there. Okay, has some work experience, blah, blah, blah. And your profile is going to be matched based on what you have in the description here, based on what you have in the description here, in all your job applications before, in the education, and here, right? So all of that is going to be relevant for the job search. So you need to fill out everything, and you need to fill it out based on the keywords, because when they type in what they're searching for, they're using certain keywords like Salesforce Developer, for example, LWC, HTML, blah blah blah, right? How can you find those keywords? You can just look at the jobs here that they have, and whatever. Let's try Salesforce Developer in Munich. All right. So they have it's in German, of course, but they have here different things. What do they have? Code reviews, right? So basically, what you can do is to take those descriptions, to go through like 50 of them, and to see what are the keywords and what are the descriptions that they're using, and probably they're using approximately the same things. So probably you're gonna see some repetitions they're using. In most cases, they're gonna say something about DevOps, something about tests, something about JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, and Apex, right? So you want to put all of these keywords into your profile. And of course, you also want to have a good photo, and you want to have a good banner here. And you want to fill out completely your LinkedIn profile. About this, I can talk about this for a very long time. But fill out. This is your fill out LinkedIn profile. Okay. Now, yeah, that's also not enough. You need to post on LinkedIn about what you learn. I'll just say post on LinkedIn. That's enough. That's enough of description, I guess. What do you want to post? You don't have post something that to pretend that you're a Salesforce developer if you're not. You can just post in general about what happens in your life, in your not in your life, not like you went to the beach, but in your life as a Salesforce admin, or how you're learning this, how you're learning, where you're learning what. It's important because people can see that you are actually it's gonna boost your algorithm. People can see that you're actually actively learning, and that's gonna just skyrocket your chances to get hired. And fun fact, less than 1% of all LinkedIn users are posting something. This is a huge opportunity. There's so few people who are posting anything. And if you tag me on LinkedIn, I'm gonna comment under your post and I'm gonna try to push you. So you do need to do that. That just skyrockets your chances. Just trust me, this is the best marketing tactic as a developer that you can have. LinkedIn is just the best. Okay. And another important thing that you see that I'm putting PD1 into the marketing, because it is not about skills. PD1 from like actually in the PD1, what you need from skills that you're going to be applying on the job, maybe 20, maybe 30%. And half of PD1 is already what you know. It's already about a lot of admin stuff. So PD1, as of right now, as of 7th August of 2024, PD1 is pure marketing. You don't need those skills. Is PD1 a good way to get skills? No. All of that we discussed before, how to do all of that, this is the good way to get the skills, right? But not PD1. PD1 is already the cherry on the top of the cake. It's already the manifestations of the skills that you have. And another mistake that people do is they try to go for PD1, and I can go here and just write PD1 certification. Doing PD1 certification too early is a mistake. Don't do that. Because you want the skills. You don't want to have just marketing. You want to have skills. Okay? So don't do PD1. It's and as the goal itself, it's wrong. Don't say that, oh, I want to pass PD1 till the 2024. It's the wrong goal. Don't do that. Because then what do you want to achieve with this PD1? Of course, if you're desperate for the job, or if you're in financial trouble, go do PD1. It's going to help you to get the job quicker. But if you first do, if you're not in the rush, and most people are not in the rush, even if you're without a job, if you can pay the bills and if you can live, like I bet most people in the Western countries like Europe or US or Canada, Australia, you're probably not in the rush to get a job. Don't set PD1 as the goal. Don't do PD1 too quick. That's the thing. All right, so I'm not gonna stay for this for forever. Another problem that people say, another wrong way people approach this is they go for PD2. I have PD2. Don't do the PD2. Don't do PD2 unless you're already a couple of years in working as a developer. There are a couple of reasons. First of all, PD2 is hard. I think it's one of the hardest certifications you can have. But the second reason for that is because PD1 also is more of a marketing certification than of an actual real Salesforce that's going to give you some knowledge. I was lucky enough because I had Visualforce project that was targeting exactly the topics that were in PD2. And I was lucky then I was able to understand pretty good what's going on in the PD2. But PD2 has a lot of Visualforce questions, and if I haven't had the project on Visualforce, I don't think I would be able to apply those skills anywhere else. So it was quite useless from the skill standpoint. It's not worth it in terms of what you're going to learn there on PD2. It's going to be hard, and you're going to learn a lot of cool stuff there also, right? But it's not worth it. It's only worth when you're already a couple of years into your career as a developer, and then you want to basically manifest or justify why you are a good developer. Because someone with a little bit of experience, let's say 3 years of experience, with good projects that you solved on your day job, with some also side projects, and with PD2, this is a very strong candidate, okay? So you want to do that. You want to be this strong candidate, but not as a junior, okay? If someone is a junior, if someone has less than 1 year of experience and has PD2, or even worse, if someone never worked as a developer and has PD2, it's a red flag. It's a huge red flag. I cannot believe that anyone can meaningfully pass PD2 without dumps in the first year. It just doesn't make sense. And even if you can pass by like memorizing somehow half of the documentation, you cannot comprehend this fully, what's going on there on PD2, because you just don't have enough experience to understand this. Okay? So don't do PD2. Another thing that you should not do are patterns. As a junior, if you only want to work as a junior, okay, you don't want to do patterns. You need to understand how to write in general. Maybe from the only one thing from patterns that you want to know are trigger handlers and maybe trigger framework, but not patterns in general, like factory pattern and all that blah blah. No, you don't want to do that. And by the way, here in the backend, I think a separate thing that we need to put somewhere here is testing. Okay, this is a topic that people also quite struggle with. Okay. So, when you do that, you need to go through the job interviews. Now, should you somehow prepare for the job interviews? No. Right? This is going to be job interview. It's going to here. And I told you I'm going to walk you through all the steps, right? And job interview is actually quite an important step because a lot of people get wrong this step. Okay, so job interview is also a marketing step. You're also doing kind of a marketing. So what you need for a job interview? The most important is that you need a ready story. When they're gonna ask you, okay, tell about yourself or something in this regard, you need to tell a compelling story. Why do you want to work as a developer? Why are you even here? And ideally, this story would make sense and would get expiring. Like my story was, for example, that I was born in Ukraine into a very poor country. And I always wanted to get out. I always wanted to travel. I always wanted to be able to have a good quality of life. And that's why I started to study coding. And I've been studying coding for a very long time until I started optimizing some stuff for my parents with the coding. And then I got into the best computer science university in Munich. And I'm studying computer science and I want to get better. This was what I was saying in my first job interviews. And I want to get better. And you cannot really be a good developer, even if you're studying computer science, if you don't have a real world experience. That's why I developed the blah blah blah. I developed those side projects, and that's why I wanna work as a developer at your company, and I wanna help you, and I wanna help you with this, and this, and then I would name the fields that they are working with. I'm really fascinated by the IoT things and smart home things that you do, and I wanna help you out with this. This is what I was saying, right? So your story needs to make sense. Why are you actually switching into the Salesforce development? So when I have a good story, a real story, of course, doesn't have to be that that much of a story. Actually, you can if you're just working there, even if you're for the money, right? You can still come up with a compelling story. Why do you want to do that? Because probably you have a story. Like everyone has a story. Like everyone has their own story. Like that's just given. Okay, so job interview story, and something that people get wrong about job interviews or job applications applications or interviews is that they ask me, they're like, oh, Igor, I sent 20 resumes or I sent 50 resumes and I did not get any job. Of course, you need to send 300, 500. You need to send your CV to every single company that does Salesforce in your city, especially if you're from US. If you just take one of your states, whatever, you're from California, if you take California, you're going to find thousands of companies doing Salesforce there. You can find so many there. Apply for every single of them. If you applied for every single of them, then you can say that I did everything. If you didn't apply, if you applied for 50 or for 100, that doesn't mean anything. Did not do enough. So at least 100 applications. That's at least. And you might get lucky. You might get hired at the second one. Or might not. Remember this. When it comes to the job applications, the number game is the most important. Number game removes luck. If you want to remove luck from the equation, you need to compensate it with a sheer amount. Okay? And then you're gonna be junior Salesforce Developer. Okay? So you see, that's quite a path. Right? This is the marketing part. So what I want you, right? This starts here. Don't go into the wrong area. Learn backend, frontend. All right. So this is that's been a lot. And for everyone who is still watching, oh my God, you are just rocking it. If you have watched that long, if you're really willing to do all of that, you will be there. If you look at all of this and you're like, and you're getting scared, I don't know. But if you look at this and you're like, damn it, I am ready to crush it, then you should go and start doing this. Okay? If you want to do all of that, not within like 8 months or 1 year, but within like 3-4 months, message me, because this is exactly what I'm helping to like compress all of this way shorter in, let's say, 3 months with one-on-one mentoring. Yeah, and let me know. So that took me a lot of time to basically to do. If you wanna more this like really deep dive into the whole Salesforce career thing, let me know. And I would really ask you to do one more thing. Please leave the comment and please like the video and please share the video. I would appreciate it so much because it took me a lot of time to do this video. And thank you a lot for sticking for so long. Thank you.